apostles, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's find phrases, turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalms singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound, plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the Navi blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Shiny Darko, good to see you, friend. Temple Snail, good to have you here. Miss Doc, Jada in the house. Morning, Quack. I love little oddities. They're fun. All right. Sound is good. I can get the earbud out so I don't have to listen to myself the whole time. It's that issue of delay, you know. Broadcast it, come to my phone, come back to my earbuds so that I can hear what's going on. The delay is annoying. That's all I have to say. You're not an Aussie. Did I say you were? I did. I mean, I think you came in with Down Under. But I just like people who have things that they know about themselves and they just do it. Like hats have been an oddity for decades. Suddenly they are now becoming acceptable and or possibly popular. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is cool. I'm just looking at some different ways I've not seen done before here. Okay. Yeah, you're a Kiwi. Yeah. You're not an Aussie. You're a Kiwi. Yes. Yeah, I've got other friends that are Kiwis as well. You know, this is one of the beautiful things about being digital is I have friends all over the globe now. So if I ever go visit, it's like, hey, I'm gonna be around. Maybe we can get together. You know, but still, there's the chance of. Yeah, if I went to New Zealand, it's still big enough that you could be hours away from where I'm at and it not work out to meet up at all. So, you know, so there's that. Yeah, I don't know a lot of cities or locations in New Zealand, so I would have to look at a map to figure out where you might be and where I would want to go and those things, but it's not on the docket to head down under yet. But if you don't know, he's not a streamer, but he does pop into various streams and watches, and he also does a bunch of VR ministry with helping churches and stuff and develop and create some VR spaces. Is Tall Skinny Kiwi. So if you run into him, you'll have to tell Tall Skinny Kiwi I said hello. I've not yet been in a room with him. So I'm doing well. Yeah, doing well. Excited about tonight. Okay, I'm excited and I'm also incredibly anxious about the turnout. So I am doing a euchre event tonight for the first time, doing, gaming ministry in my local brewery and trying to do stuff to draw people to come together, and there's no sign up. So I have no idea if people are going to show up or not. So it's like, am I going to get 4 teams to show up? Or am I going to have 40 teams show up and be overwhelmed? I have no idea what's going on. So, Johnny, hey, Pastor, what advice do you have for someone who wants to approach reading the Bible out of respect and not out of disgust or anger? A discussion I was having with someone else where I was mentioning we should approach it with respect, and I mentioned the Ark of the Covenant as an example. You haven't played euchre in 25 years? Well, it's a bit of a drive, but if you really wanted to, you could leave now and make it here, maybe in time to grab a back and play. Yeah, on my way. I don't know that Ark of the Covenant, it would be the example that I would use, because the Ark of the Covenant is something that only a specific group of people were allowed to have access to. So it was symbolic, and other people had to handle it on their behalf. I think everyone should have access to having the Bible and being able to read it for themselves in their own language, their native language, not just one they understand. So that'd be the reason I wouldn't use that example, but I understand what you're talking about, the approaching with respect. I'm trying to think of an object that you would approach with honor and respect. Actually, I'm watching a show right now, 1923, which is set in part of it in the West, in Montana, and then there's some global as well. But some, I want to say, of the Crow tribe end up, being hunted down by the Catholic Church and end up killing some priests, some nuns in the process of what's happening, and they're going to bury the bodies and destroy, all that stuff. But the one guy, when they show the Bible's like, we can't, like they're burning the clothes and all this other stuff to hide evidence. Like, no, we're not burning the Bible. We're not burning the Bible. When I was in prison, they would read one passage a day from it, and all kinds of miraculous things that he saw happen in regards to this. Like, no, the God may not have power to do certain things, but if you mess with his Bible, he's not gonna take that lightly. So we'll just bury the Bibles in loose ground down by the river to hide them. So that's not an answer to your question. It was just a funny correlated amount of respect kind of idea. Jada, going to bed, though. Yeah, you're feeling tired, in pain, and you just took painkillers. Yeah, just your pain stings, yes. But you're okay. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you're okay. Painkillers. Oh, you're dealing with pain. Pain is one of the most disruptive things for sleep. One of the most disruptive. So I hope that they take effect and you're able to get peaceful sleep. Before we go a little further, and I'm still going to answer your question. Yeah, almost 2 a.m. Oh yeah, I know. The Kiwis who are up and watching me. It's a marvel that you stay up so late. I'm not usually up at that time, so I love my Kiwis who pop in here from time to time. You are amazing, friends. Okay, what was I going to do? Oh, we're going to go here, and I was going to show... Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. I've got to pull it up on another thing. Give me a second. While I'm doing that, we are fundraising. Let me start with this one. We are fundraising right now, passing the cap. Boy, my stuff is slow when I get started in the morning. We put this in here, past the cap. We're passing the cap for a friend of Melanius, who lost her house in the LA fire. So here is some of her artwork that she has done. Just showing her artwork because we are working to help her get her art supplies back so that she can begin creating art again, both as a necessity for what she makes her livelihood with, and then also so that it can get back to normal life for her. So we're raising funds to help get her art supplies and get her back to work. So I thought I put the links in the Streamlab thing. I guess I did not. So if you want links to look at her stuff, you can DM me, and I will share those links with you. But I'm collecting, and I need to get. I'll try to get this by Monday. I'll try to get the little bar of what we're collecting, so that it's available for everybody. Here was the other thing I wanted to show you. Oh, nope, I guess it's not going to let me a second. Let me switch that. Now let's see if it will. All right. I got to go into the main part, I guess, on the window capture. Bum 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 bum. Why will it not? There it is. Okay. So oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong one. Ha ha ha. I've got to open a different one. Here we go. I'm doing a collab stream with, as always, Ministry. So if you do not know, if you haven't heard me talk about, because I'm not good at self-promo, I put the logo up and you'll see it, the DC4C crew, which is Digital Creators for Christ. So we'll be chatting with, as always, Min. He's the one that started DC4C, and we'll be hanging out, chatting about what's going on. So that will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, because he's Pacific time. And I don't end up hanging out with a lot of the other streamers. They're all evening streamers, and a lot of them West Coast. So I'm the early bird, way early, streaming before they're awake. Is it 5 a.m. for them right now? I think 5 a.m. for them. They're not up watching me. And they stream at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm not up watching them. So, okay. Bum. Trigger Boss. Samarella. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Glad to have you here. Yes, prayers for her family. Yeah, I think it's wonderful artwork as well. I don't currently have, I love artwork. I have lots of artwork. So eventually I would like to get something from her. I think that would be fun. So, okay. I need to change the title here. We're reading Ruth. That's what we'll read. Okay. All right. I was pulling up the Hebrew here. I was pulling up the Hebrew on the side. We're using the Net Bible here, netbible.org. And I let you guys vote on which. Oh, let me go here. So, those that are coming in for the new year, ooh, maybe she could make an artwork of a flat cap. Lucis. Oh, I love that idea. I love that. You know what? If you saw, let me just go back a second. If you see her sketches here, I would love to have her do a sketch like of tipping the cap or something like that. That would be fun. Lucis, I love that idea. Okay. This is our new. We're not doing Bible in a year this year. I like doing Bible in a year because it's a good practice. And so we did that last year. We did it 2 years prior to that. And it's a good practice. But one of the things is I feel this pressure to keep reading, to get it done, to get to the next one so that we don't get behind. And sometimes I just want to have a 20-minute discussion about a single verse. And that's really, really, really hard to do when you are trying to get through Bible in a year. Do Ruth in a year instead. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if I could get a full year out of Ruth. I bet I could get close. I bet I could get close, but anyway, so Messiah Monday. That's just Jesus. Okay, so we're going to read the Gospels on Monday. Torah Tuesday. I just love the Torah. And like Gospel and Torah are always going to be in my reading plan. So we started in Genesis. We got 19 verses in Genesis in 2 hours on Monday. That was fun. Wisdom Wednesday. I had tech problems, so we will be starting. So on Wisdom Wednesday, you can go to the Discord and you can put in there a favorite passage that you had. So if it's a single verse in a psalm, in a proverb, and a Song of Solomon, in Ecclesiastes. We will read the whole context of the whole chapter is what we will do. Thursdays, we will be looking at something that helps you transform your faith. So Transform Thursday. So something that you can apply in your life of faith to grow. And we looked at prayer. So we'll look at different things like solitude and silence and other spiritual practices. We'll look at those things. I'm open to topics that people want to suggest there. And then Fridays will be Friday favorites. And so I gave you some choices. I didn't give you all of the choices, but Ruth is one of my favorite books. Jonah is one of my favorite books. Ephesians is one of my favorite books. Esther and James. Now, some of my other favorite books are Gospels. We won't be reading those on Friday. They're already going to be covered. Torah Tuesday, Leviticus is one of my favorite books. We won't be reading that on Fridays. We'll get to it on Tuesday. So, Gospels are excluded from Fridays. The Torah is excluded from Fridays. Wisdom literature, with the exception of Job. I'm not sure if I want to do Job on a Friday, or maybe we want to take Job and tackle Job for Wisdom Wednesdays. Haven't made up my mind on that, so we won't do Job for several months anyway. So that's what we're doing, and we're starting in Ruth today. So just giving you a spectrum view of where we're going. Temple, yeah, I actually find it much more satisfying when you don't have to rush to reach your next chapter goal. Yes. And like I said, I like the discipline of the reading, but I can't help myself but do commentary. There are other streamers out there, and they do it differently, and I don't have any problem. Charles Q. Banks reads scripture, and he doesn't add commentary. Now Johnny Darko is starting to do reading scripture and plain reading of the scripture, which is still very valuable and still beneficial. So, and then there's others out there, other pastors who will read and do things, and there's people who will do devotions. So they will read and then have a story or message or something that goes alongside of a scripture passage or a couple of scripture passages. So I don't think there's a wrong way per se to do it, but this is my preference. So, and it's my stream. Try and stop me. You could just leave, but you can't stop me. I guess unless somehow you reported me to the internet authorities and they shut me down. All right. Ruth is one of the books of the Bible that I have entirely translated from the Hebrew, and I studied it more thoroughly, but I don't have my copy. I wish I did. It's somewhere electronic. I probably have it on a hard drive stored somewhere, but I haven't found it, and I've moved a lot, and that's what happens sometimes when you move from place to place, is you lose track of things that you have. So when I was doing it, there was no such thing as, web or cloud storage. But speaking of cloud storage, I actually could have invented cloud storage, and I'll say it this way, because what I would do would be to email myself documents so that I could access my documents remotely no matter where I was. So I could go on any computer and access my documents. So before there was cloud storage, I had already figured out the need for cloud storage. So had I been intended to, make money and do that, oh my goodness, I could be rich right now. I could. And that's just one of hundreds of ideas I had that came about, like Keurig was another one, Google owes you a lot of money. Well, they didn't get the idea from me. I was using Hotmail. So Microsoft might owe me money, but, who knows? Who knows? Okay. So Ruth, it says, during the time of the judges. I'm going to switch over to footnotes because I didn't find what I wanted anyway, as I was just skimming there at the beginning. So, in the days of the judging of judges. Oh, this is so good. Okay. when we were looking at Genesis, if you remember starting, I was pointing out, yeah, any idea what judges were, by the way? Oh, yes, let's go look into that. Okay. Oh, thank you, Johnny. Thank you. So one of the things that we have when we go to creation stories is teeming things were teeming and swarming things were swarming. Okay, so that doesn't translate good into English, so it's not usually translated that way at all. Yeah, like apparently they weren't kings. No, where there are multiple judges at a time, or were there? The way that okay, I'll say this two different ways. The way that the book lays it out is that there is a singular judge in the book of Judges that is mentioned. They rule for a period of time. After the time of that judge, the people go and do what's right in their own eyes, and then another judge is raised up. However, there are a few judges that seem a little bit different than that, in the sense of we jump into the story of Deborah, and Deborah is already a judge, and Deborah is under the palm of Deborah. So Deborah is so renowned and known that the palm tree that she is under is named after her. So that's a little bit different of and by that the book doesn't tell us this, but you're talking about, let's just say, the United States before the Civil War. You have multiple states that are far away. That would be closer to the idea of what you have in Israel, with multiple tribes who are far away from each other, and within a tribe, a judge is raised up. So there might be multiple judges at the same time, and each tribe having their own judge at some level, and they're raised up, they oversee things, and they might not be written about if they are at the same time. Only certain ones are written about. So I hope that kind of makes sense of answering the question. The book never, that I know of, mentions two at the same time. There is the judge comes about, then the judge is gone, and then there's a period without a judge and people doing wickedness. Then a judge is raised up, the judge story is told, then the judge goes away, and the cycle repeats. The book of Judges is supposed to, in some ways, lead you through a cycle that, oh my goodness, this is a never-ending cycle. Will these people ever learn? Will they ever break out of the cycle? That's part of the point of book of Judges. And then sometimes the in-between continues to progress lower and lower. So then the judges also aren't always perfect. So, temple. Like, they weren't kings. Were there multiple? They seem to be military leaders frequently. Was the man Job actually judging court cases? Oh, sorry, was the main job. Duh, read that wrong. I read man instead of main. Was the main job actually judging court cases? Deborah is the one that seems for sure to be judging like court cases, because she sits under the palm of Deborah, but then the story is and goes into military types of things. That's a great question. That does go back to Moses, where he was judging and then he was given helpers. Was Moses the original human judge? For the people of Israel, what you would have had on some level, so to speak, is head of household is going to be that. So you have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's going to be true for. Then you have over the 12 tribes. Each of those of the 12 tribes would have been a judge. I might say Joseph would have been the original judge on some level, because he was a ruler in Egypt and he could have overseen any issues within the family as also having power over Egypt. But it doesn't specifically describe or talk about it, but Joseph may be viewed that way. Is there even a judge mentioned who doesn't go bash some Philistines? Okay, let me read the footnote, then we'll come back to that. I mean, I'm trying to think, so I don't know the answer to that. Okay. In the days of the judging of the judges, the LXX simply reads when the judges judged. Oh, and I'm still getting to that point. I love that language of the thing that you do is the thing that you are. Okay? So judges judge, adults adulting, those kinds of things that we now have, what do adults do? Adults adulting. That's what they do. They adulting, they go do adult stuff. Okay. The Syriac has in the days of the judges govern. Okay. Many interpreters reading the statement in light of the book of Judges were described as morally corrupt period, assuming that the narrator is painting a dark backdrop against which Ruth's exemplary character and actions will shine even more brightly. However, others read these statements in light of the book's concluding epilogue, which traces the full significance of the story to the time of David. Okay. Either way, the point being that you're setting this up for the heritage that goes and leads to the line of David. It has to precede the time of kings, so it would be in the time of judges, whether or not you're setting it as a backdrop of the dark times that are taking place. Okay. Let's just go take a quick aside here and run through the book of Judges before we get to Ruth. Okay? And we could perhaps, if we wanted to take and look at genealogies elsewhere and look at life, figure out how far back into the time of Judges we might be talking, but everything that is pre-Saul is the time of the judges. So, okay. We'll go over here. Okay. Oh, I wanted the full book. Why didn't you give me the full book? Okay. After the death of Joshua, who will go up when Judah attacked. The men of Judah attacked. I'm looking for a judge yet. Tribes of Bethel, but Manasseh would not drive out. So we're getting the overlay of the book there. The angel of the Lord, Gilgal, I brought you up out of Egypt and swore you to make and break. When the angel had spoken, after Joshua had dismissed the Israelites. Okay, we're still got Joshua here. After a whole generation gathered to their ancestors. So then the Lord rose up judges who saved them from the hands of their raiders. Yet they would not listen to their judges, but prostituted themselves to the other gods, and they worshiped them. So the point being, the fidelity to God is always in question by the people. So the judge would save them from the hands of their enemies as long as the judge lived, for the Lord relented because of their groaning under the oppression and affliction, but the judge died, and the people returned to the ways even more corrupt than the ways of their ancestor, following other gods and serving and worshiping them. They refused to give up their evil practices and stubborn ways. Okay, so that's the setup for the whole book. These are the nations that left the test, and then we have the first one. Okay, and then Ehud. So let me go over here. By the way, just making a statement like that makes you wonder how long after these happened that the book was written. Oh, Temple Snail, absolutely, absolutely. I think that there might be records that are written, but the construction of the book and the, whether some things are documented and written down or not during the time of the judges, I certainly think that it is written later. You know what, actually? Let me just go to Ruth, because Ruth will have the word here that we want to look up for judges. So, Samarella, I want to share something in your last stream, but I wasn't able to. Will I be able to share it now? Absolutely. Samarella, you are free to share Anytime. Yeah, it'd be like you could go right now and write stories with good first hand resources, like looking at letters that were written during the time period from people back and forth to each other for World War II, for World War I, for the Civil War. Revolutionary War might begin to be a little bit harder as far as first-hand sources, but if we suppose that these were written during the time of the kings, looking back at it, you shared in Discord? Oh, okay. Okay. So let's look up the word judge here during the time of the judges. So here you have it. The sapatted, if I'm saying that right. Shaphat, okay.
Strong's H,
Whoa.
8199.
Shaphat.
Shaphat.
Oh, Johnny, I got sidetracked. Sorry, let's go back to that. To judge, to govern, to vindicate, to punish. Okay, so you have the sense of governing there, as well as acting as an arbiter. And yeah, she fat. But you also have. So I think in the way that you would have tribal leaders is a way to look at these judges. So, and you have different forms here. So the poal is to judge or to operate at law. So this is a one usage of it that we get the settling court cases. The nifel is to enter into controversy, plead, have controversy together to be judged. So you can do the action of being judged to enter into it. And then you have the call form to act as a lawgiver or a judge or a governor of God and man, to rule as a governor or a judge, to decide. So they also have the power to decide a controversy and execute judgment. So the nifel, or sorry, the call has all of these aspects of it. The pual, the poal is only the operating of law, and the nifel would be if you're the one subject to it. So let's go back here and let's see. It tells us what form that is happening here. It is the call stem. It's the call stem. So it is this one here that is being able to be a ruler as well as a judge or a court decider. So governor might be a good kind of modern equivalent, like a state governor with a bunch of states, but you don't have a federal system up above. And if you want to think of the king as a federal system, prophets might be more of the level of a federal system than a judge is. So I'm assuming when it talks about a judge, the title is probably being used as the supreme judge, i.e. the person taking Moses' place. It's set up as they're taking Joshua's place. So Joshua took Moses' place, and Joshua was over all the tribes. I still think the way these read in the book of Judges is they are more localized than the entire nation. So I don't think that they're on the federal level. Like Joshua, you could say, would be on the federal level. And these other judges may be more on the state level. Like because they're often will tell you what tribe they're in. They will tell you what tribe they're in along the way. I don't think all of them do, but some of them talk about what tribe they are of when you're reading through these. And then they seem to be more localized than the entire nation. Okay. So back to... I'm just talking from context, because if we're looking in here, they don't talk about them being spread wider than that. They don't talk about them being more widely spread out over things. The actions usually are only talking about a region as you read through each of the judges. So I'm guessing that based on what Judges describes. is that it describes local regions where they have actions that take place. And they aren't fighting all the enemies of Israel at the same time. They usually only fight, like here, Shamgar. He also struck down 600 Philistines with the ox goad. He too saved Israel. Like he gets a mention, and that's it. Here you have the Moabites that Ehud has. So it's just from my observation of reading the text that I think that, if that helps. Okay. So a judge during early Rome and Greek era will be the oracle or the leader of the community, but it has been changed a lot of times, and now we don't have the exact transcripts of it as it was lost. Ooh, is a judge ever called the judge of Israel? I don't know that. Well, they might have said they judged Israel because it's the people, so. Okay. Okay, Moses said to Israel's judges, I charge your judges, two Israelites between two Israelites. This is Deuteronomy, Joshua. So, so we go from Joshua to Kings with judge and Israel in the same sentence. Or I could change it to judge instead of judges. See if that does anything. Okay, we got two references in Judges. The Spirit of the Lord came on him so that he became Israel's judge and went to war. The judge decided the disputes this day between the Israelites and the Ammonites. Okay. Othniel, son of Caleb's younger brother, the Spirit of the Lord came on him as the judge, Israel's judge, and went to war, so that the land had peace for 40 years. Okay. This one would be one of those that does lead to the national. Is the stream dropping frames? I don't know. Let me look at what it says for my bit rate here. It says the last 15 minutes on my side has been excellent. So, I don't know if there was some other problem. Oh, the first verse? Yeah. But when they cried out to the Lord, he raised up for them a deliverer. Yes. So, I was only saying as I read through the stories, in the book of Judges, they seem to be more localized than leading the whole nation, but I'm just reading into it. I don't know if others have made a case for that or not, but here, this one certainly sounds like more national. So maybe some of them are only for a few years, and they're only like for a battle or two, it seems like. So, okay. Johnny, you were asking about and I had said, I'm not certain on the Ark of the Covenant. I don't think that is a way I would look at or talk about things. So, oh my goodness, Samarella. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I got to share this. So this is over in Discord, but I've got to share this. Samarella shared it. Window capture. Let's switch. Come on. Are you going to give me... Well, we'll just do... Oh, there it is. Check that out. Samarella. That is fantastic. That is and you captured the light on the wall behind. You've got the dimension there. Samarella, you are talented. You are talented. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. We're going to get to the text eventually, but we're having great conversation, so no worries on my part. No worries here. Okay. So, you were asking about Johnny Darko of the approach to Scripture and having reverence and respect for it. And the Ark of the Covenant was limited access, so that's why I wouldn't use the Ark of the Covenant, and I was trying to think of a tangible item where people would show honor and respect before handling it. And I don't know if a tangible object is the best thing to think about. I don't know if it is. I'll have to think more about that. But in the same way that you don't just walk into the president's, into the Oval Office without an appointment, and you don't have full access. I see. Again, I'm feeling like that limits the idea there of honor and respect from access. See, that's what I'm struggling with, is full access but honor and respect due to that. Oh, maybe this is the thing. When you're in court and the judge comes in, everyone stands up. Why? To honor and respect the judge. Excuse me. So there's an honor, respect, reverence for what you do and how you approach a courtroom. And so that might be a way to approach or think about approaching Scripture, is with honor and reverence and respect, because of it being related to the creator of the universe. And so just as you would give honor and respect and stand in the presence when they enter the room, you don't stand the whole time. You just stand in the presence when they enter in to honor and show respect for it. And the judge is the authority in the room, and you can be held in contempt of court if you're causing a ruckus and all of those things. There is honor and respect that you give towards God's word that's given to you. So that's the best I got as far as an example of maybe a tangible, visible thing. I don't know if someone else has a better idea. Yeah, great example of the judges and the standing, especially with the discussion about judges. Yeah, I don't know why that just came to me. So, yeah. Okay. With all that said, let's get into Ruth. Okay, I'm going to go look up this word here a minute. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Johnny. There was a famine. Okay. Now, I don't think that Strong's is going to have what I'm looking for here. I believe when I've looked it up, I haven't seen it here. Ra'ab.
H 7458.
Ra'ab. Famine, hunger, that's all it is. It is from this word, so we'll look up this word, Ra'abe.
Strong's H 7456.
Ra'abe, sorry. To hunger. Okay. We'll go back. Okay. So another one of my lexicons when I was doing the translation of this has that famine is literally, the word for famine is no bread. So we just translated as famine. So the translation translated as famine, which is true. It's just true. But okay, if you and I don't know a lot of Chinese characters, but every time I go and see them, I'm just fascinated by Chinese characters and Asian, where they'll have a word picture and then they will there's one that has the image for woman and it means one thing, and then if you put it with something else, it means something else, and then there's one where you put I think it's, and I'm probably wrong here, but you put several women together with something else, and all of a sudden it's argument or something, or it's like this weird kind of combination of things that is picture related, and Hebrew is very picture related. So the word, and I don't have my other lexicon to go look at, is literally no bread. So the word for famine is no bread. So if you're reading this and you are a Hebrew and you understand that the word for famine means no bread, it adds a whole dimension to what's going on. Temple. And it happened that when he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell off his seat, and his neck was broken. Then he died, for the man was old and heavy. Thus he judged Israel 40 years. Yeah. So we have a priest there serving in the role of judge. So, and then Judges 12:19, and he had 30 sons and $30, and he gave into marriage outside the family, and he brought in 30 daughters from outside the family, and he judged Israel 7 years. Yes. So, so I think govern is a good word for what judges do. They governed the people. So they govern, and in the book of Judges, they are governing as tribal leaders. We also know that Eli is in the time of the judges, because it's not until Samuel that we get the anointing of Saul and we get kingship. So Eli would be in the time of judges. That's a really good catch there. I never noticed that, Temple. He judged, so he is a priest. I don't think in the book of Judges, though, that most of them are priests at all. But he's corrupt, his sons are corrupt, or at least he's corrupt by the manner of which his sons are corrupt. But the fact that he is obese, he's a heavy man when he falls, and we have the description of his sons taking the portions of meat that they're not supposed to, means they might have learned this from their dad, or dad participated in it when they did it. So, anyway, so keep in mind, and I'm going to read it this way, that famine means no bread, and Bethlehem means house of bread. And I just think it's beautiful to think about. You could think of house of bread or place of bread. So, yeah, several more of these were said to have judged Israel. Yeah, and I think that's the whole act of governing. It may be included in that idea. I would love, I mean, if you've run into somebody, because my level of scholarship only goes so far. I am not a linguistic scholar that has studied languages, and I would love to see if you run across someone who does explore the aspect of judging, which does run from the time of Moses, as was pointed out, through the time of the judges, and I would say until the kingship. And I think the prophets at times may also be referred to as having judged Israel, and they're going to be judging their spiritual health. Okay. During the time of the judges, there was no bread in the land of Judah. So a man from the house of bread in Judah went to live as a resident foreigner in the region of Moab, along with his wife and his 2 sons. Cat jam. Temple, 1 Samuel 8:20. Then we also may be like the other nations, that our king may judge us and we go out and fight battles. Okay. Yeah, so still govern does apply to the kings there and is used of that. Okay, yeah, he may judge us. He oversees us. He governs us. Yeah. Yeah, you got to wonder. Well, one of the differences that we clearly see is that a king will have a standing army. The judges do not have standing armies. So there's one difference. The king will establish a standing army, and the king will exploit, not that he's supposed to, but by taking from the people in order to have a standing army and to have a palace where he resides from, he is going to have to tax the people and take from the people. And then and a king is hereditary. Yeah. So judges don't have standing armies. Judges raise the people up to go and fight. A king has a standing army. And then, yes, you have heredity of a king. You do have a couple of stories of the judges trying to set up heredity, and it doesn't last but maybe one generation, or it just doesn't take when they try to do that. Or they're killing each other off, the different sons of each other. So I think a son of a judge trying to be a judge and then it being going to hell in a handbasket is what we find in the book of Judges. So they try to establish some kingship in that way, and it doesn't work. Do we know how the judges were established? Some of them we get stories like Gideon is called by an angel to go and be a judge. Others we don't know. How'd they decide who was next? We only have a few stories that tell us and it simply usually says God raised up is often what is said or described. So, like, for instance, Deborah, I think it doesn't tell us, but I think it could be that she is raised up by people recognizing her gifts and talents and abilities and putting her in place to do that. But I don't remember Deborah or a few others telling us. They just suddenly are there, and we're suddenly in the story. Yeah, so there definitely is the God appearing and calling, and then there's some that are just already we're jumping in the story, and I don't know how all of those would have been selected or affirmed. Okay. So we have no bread in the house of bread. We learn when we are in the time of David that when there is a famine, we are supposed to think that something is wrong spiritually in the land when there is a famine. The other thing that just fascinates me about this is that it takes place in the house of bread. So there is literally no bread in the house of bread. I mean, this would be like going to McDonald's and saying there are no French fries in the Golden Arches. Be like, what are you talking about? They ran out of French. Why don't they not have potatoes? What is happening here that they don't? Or saying there were no hamburgers at Burger King. You know, what do you mean there's no burgers at Burger King? The whole point of Burger King is to have a burger. So Bethlehem being a breadbasket for the whole nation, there was a famine in the land, and we go specifically to the place where bread would come from, and there's no bread. So, did the law of Moses set up the succession rules for judges? The only thing I remember, that's a good question, is in Exodus, and I think it's around 17, when Jethro comes and says to him to set up judges, is that in there, pick qualified men from among and establish them over and let some rule over tens and fifties and hundreds, and I might have those numbers wrong. It might have been tens and hundreds and thousands, whatever those were. So you assign someone to look over groups of people based on their ability to do it. So perhaps that is still what they are trying to do, and when a judge isn't in a community, they're looking for someone who can be raised up. I think there is some, I think yes, it is capable men who fear God. I think that's what it says. Capable men who fear God. I think it's in 17. It might be in 18, but it's somewhere there in Exodus, if someone is wanting to go look. Okay. Exodus 18, yeah, is all there is. Yes. Okay. Melanius, welcome in, friend. Okay, so we've got a man leaving and going to another place and ruling over there. Or, sorry, living over there, not ruling over there. Sorry, we're talking about ruling. He is going over there, and now he's living over there. Because there's a famine in the land, he leaves the land. There is a spiritual problem in the land, which we're in the time of Judges. That makes sense. Okay. Now, the man's name was Elimelech, his wife's name Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Sickly and Frail. Yes, Mahlon and Kilion. Johnny, you found it. Okay. Exodus 18:21. But you shall select excellent men out of all the people, those who fear God, men of truth, those who hate greedy gain, and you shall place these men over them as leaders of thousands, of hundreds, fifties, and tens. Okay, so it was all of those. It was tens, fifties, hundreds, and thousands. Yes. Sounds very democratic. I don't know, because you're selecting, you're not voting for. So, in the sense that maybe you would have some nominations, I might imagine it more like the Book of Acts and it doesn't say this, but this is how I might imagine it. So I can be wrong on this, where they selected 2 men capable to pick place for the replacement for Judas. Then they set requirements. They found 2 capable to take the place, and then they cast lots for it. So I don't think they're voting if they're doing anything. I think that it is the elders that are being spoken to in the you there. That the elders of the people are supposed to do that. Let me go back to Exodus 18:20. See if that tells us. Then warn them that their statutes and laws, and make known to them the way they should go and work they should do. Okay, that didn't help. Okay, maybe this is Jethro speaking directly to Moses. Okay, we got an ad break coming in. We're not getting very far today. We're at an ad already, everybody. Let's feed some fishies. Going a little bonkers there. Community is back. The ads have concluded. All right, let me get caught up. Where's the big one? Oh, sorry. I gotta fix that cam. It's disconnected on this computer, and it does, the password's not working, so I gotta redo the whole thing, which means I gotta change it on 4 different devices, and I just didn't get around to it. So I plan to get that done over the weekend. I'm subscribed without realizing, and no commercials here. Except someone trying to sell fish or something. Oh, yes. Would you like to have some fish? You can purchase one, and if you ever should come close enough to have it delivered, which I'm not shipping it overseas, you could take possession. But until then, you could stable it here. You could own the fish and stable it here in my beloved aquariums for you. Oh, you were asking where the big one is? There is Pleco. There is Wywis right there. And yes, as usual, he's knocked over SpongeBob's house. Okay. I'm just getting my fish up and going live with my fish. So I usually do that when we go to ad break. And we're good. We're up. We're live. So I'm checking out my fish underwater. They're looking good. So if you want to just check out the fish, I would say in February, my plan will be to have a schedule for the fish. So actually, I'll be on vacation the last week of January. The fish cam will be up the entire time I'm gone on vacation, unless it breaks, which could happen. It will be up the entire time. And when I get back, I will start doing co-working streams on the other channel. I'm not going to do co-working here. I may do some gaming here, and I will have a third channel that I will be streaming on. So, fun stuff. Like, why put all your eggs in one basket? And actually, partly, it's to stay focused on what happens on one channel is what happens on one channel. So, if you want to come read the Bible, most of the time, it's going to be here. On the Church Digital channel, we're revamping it. I'm going to be working on that channel. I will be doing like a podcast kind of setting where I will bring people in. We'll have conversations. We'll talk about stuff. So we'll be doing that over there. And the other fun thing I'm going to do is bring someone on who loves a game, and I'm going to play a game for the first time, and it's going to be probably really, really awful. So, yeah, we'll be doing some fun things. You kind of like the idea of have a pet fish that someone else cares for. Yeah, I should do that. Have you ever had one of those rotting fish dishes? I don't think I've had one. I mean, I've had fish that tasted like it was rotting, but I don't know if I've had any that was intentionally rotting. So many icy cultures have a version of that, and they all sound awful. The closest I would say might be like pickled herring or something, but that's pickled, so that's not rotting. But yeah. Yeah. Your dogs and cats pester you enough, and you'll feed them early. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I need to get a cam to show you the. Well, you can see them back there, but I mean an up view. When I walk to that aquarium in the back, you can barely see. The fish are going bonkers. Like they are ravenous pack of, like, if you've ever had farm animals and they come at you when it's feeding time. That is what that tank does. The other tank over here does similarly, but the one back here with Pleco in it, they don't. They just like, okay, well, let's come. Oh, should we eat? Oh, it's food. Oh, we're okay. So, anyway. Yeah, pickled herring is approaching that, but it's not the same. Okay. So, is this going to tell us Elimelech literally means God is king. My God is king. So, my God is king, and Naomi means pleasant or lovely. I like using pleasant. So my God is king and pleasant have sons, and Mahlon is from Kala, to be sick, so he is sickly, and Kilion is from Kala, to be frail. So the sons are sickly and frail. So no wonder Dad says, we're going to leave, we're going to go somewhere else, and we're going to do that. The Swedes do it with fish. I think the Eskimos do it with whale blubber. They bury them, let them rot. I knew that Eskimos did that with whale, and I'm not surprised with the Swedes or other Scandinavians doing something along those lines of letting it rot in some fashion. But I would think you've got salt and sea brine. You could be able to just use salt water to do that. Oh, sorry. I did not get it made. I didn't get the fruit made. The plan is by Monday. Sorry, the plan is by Monday. Okay? I know you sent it to me. I didn't get a chance to enter it in. I'm watching. The plan is by Monday. Grace here, please. Welcome in. Okay. So what you have missed so far is we've read 2 verses. Okay. They were from the clan of Ephrath, from Bethlehem in Judah. So if I'm a reader of this and I don't know the story, or I'm a listener in that fashion, I know perhaps that David is of the house of Bethlehem. He is from Bethlehem, and I'm going already intrigued of going back to, and we know this leads up to. So you're literally eating cookies right now. There you go. Okay. They entered the region of Moab and settled there. Okay, so this is a fascinating thing, that they are going to Moab. Oh, why do I not remember which one it is? Okay. Yes, son of Lot. Yeah, I thought it was, but I like to double check sometimes when I'm, yeah. So Moab is one of Lot's sons through his daughter. So, these are people who should know exactly who God is. So it's not like they're going to some of these others on the side. His prophecy has been fulfilled. Appoint him as judge. Not okay. So we've got the time frame here. We've got a famine, which is a spiritual condition. He leaves to go to Moab, which you wouldn't think to go to the people of Moab. I believe, if I remember, Moabites with Moses. Or maybe I'm thinking the Edomites. Moses was able to graze promised land, which God forbid, from the highlands of the Moab territory. I'm trying to think if Moab was Balaam. Trying to think if that's what it was. Okay, let's go over here. Yeah, Israel traveled to the plains of Moab and camped in Jordan. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. So, if you remember the story, now I'm saying I'm stuttering there. We were asking earlier. Let me see what it says on Bit rates are still excellent. So that's my computer if you're seeing anything, not the bit rates. It's my computer struggling. Okay. So Balaam and Balaam's donkey and trying to curse was something that the Moabites were trying to do to the people of God. So if you know that they have been cursed or they tried to curse you, then how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? How are we going to go over there to these people? They should know God, but they don't seem to know God. They're all talking cookies. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. So you're going over to this people. I'm going to go, what? Why would you go to them? They tried to curse us. They have not been friendly. They are enemies. I mean, they're relatives, but they're enemies. So, okay. Supersonic, I heard the story on the radio the other day about how the people have used creative names for their internet. Here are a few. LTE, Light of the World, okay. The Promised Land, Routing Thomas, You Shall Not Covet Your Neighbor's Wi-Fi. I like that one. I like that one. My brother-in-law, his Wi-Fi name is Unmarked White Van. That's his Wi-Fi name. So you're searching for Wi-Fi and it comes up as Unmarked White Van. So, by the way, mine is called Dapper Wi-Fi. Mine is the Dapper Wi-Fi. So if you come over and you're trying to get on Wi-Fi at my house, you're on the Dapper Wi-Fi. So, wow, we are having great convos, digging into stuff, all kinds of stuff today, ladies and gentlemen, and Bible too. Okay. So they go to Moab and they settle there. The implication here of settling, let's see if they have that. They remained there, they were living there and were there, continued there. Okay. So they don't just go over there, get some food and come back. They are going over there to stay for some extended time. Do you get to wear a flat cap while searching our email? You can certainly borrow one. I've got a few. Sometime later, Naomi. Oh, so Pleasant's husband, my God is king, dies. So she and her 2 sons were left alone. Both her sons married Moabite women. You'll take the recycled one. All right. I got to get back to work later. Thank you, Temple. Great convo. Like I said, if you come across someone who really is diving into that, your question there on the full scope of what a judge did and the scope of where they served, I'd love to dive into that. That's fascinating thought. But I think the idea of governing a governed person who serves in all those capacities would be a way I might translate those, because I think that conveys better than just judge, thinking that I only settle disputes when they also serve as military leader, and a governor could do that. So, okay. So this is an interesting order here. Naomi's husband dies and leaves her with her 2 sons alone. Both her sons married Moabite women. Do they do that? Yeah, well, it's understood to mean rule in other places. Yeah. That's why I was saying govern might be a good word that could cover more aspects of it than our narrow mind or narrow use of English judge does. Okay. So husband dies, Naomi doesn't leave. She still has her 2 sons. She still doesn't know. Maybe there is a famine in the land, but they are settled in some way. So she has her 2 sons, and they both married Moabite women. So I'm taking this as chronological here, because they didn't say while they were there, they married 2 Moabite women and then her husband died. I'm thinking that this is telling us she still has not lost hope. She still needs to stay in Moab because there's still a famine going on. So going back home doesn't help the situation at this time. Okay, one was named Orpah and the other was named Ruth. Okay, the name Orpah is from the noun back of the neck and related to turn one's back. And Ruth is from the noun friendship, derived from the root friend companion. Ironically, Orpah will eventually turn her back on Naomi, while Ruth will display extraordinary friendship and her long life companion, since they seem to mirror the most definitive action of the women. Perhaps they designated character types, as in the case of the name Mara, yes, and Peloni Almoni in 4:1, rather than original birth names. Yep. Yeah, come here, what's your name, and sit down. So, Peloni Almoni is what's your name. So he doesn't even get a name. It's what's your name. And Mara means bitter. Back of the neck, related to turn one's back. Okay, so interestingly, my understanding is Oprah was intended to be named after Orpah, probably not knowing the meaning of the name, I would say, and also misspelled or spelled differently intentionally. I've heard it both ways. So Oprah is supposed to be connected with Orpah in some way, just in case anyone's wondering. Okay, so we have turns her back and friendship. So the 2 sons, sickly and frail, marry 2 women named turns her back and friendship. Then, okay, they continued to live there about 10 years. So now we're getting a time frame. So they've lived there 10 years. Is it 10 years total? And we don't know when they got married. But 10 years, maybe since Dad died, 10 years total, 10 years since marriage, not sure, okay? We just got this. They've lived there a significant portion of time. They've been married. They could have had children. Then Naomi's 2 sons, sickly and frail, also died. So the woman was left all alone. So this is Naomi, the woman. Okay, what do we have on sickly and frail? The 2 men also died. Okay, they're just showing us the Hebrew word order. Bereaved of her 2 children as well as her husband. Okay, the woman was left all alone. She's not all alone. She's not all alone. Whose vantage point is telling the story? Pleasant is telling the story from, or the story is being told from her perspective. I mean, Naomi insisted she leave more than once. I don't necessarily agree that Orpah turned her back on her. Yeah. Yep. I'm not in disagreement with you either. It's only in comparison to Ruth that she turns her back. It's the contrast. Bereaved of her 2 children and also her husband, she decided to return home from the region of Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-laws, because while she was living in Moab, she had heard that the Lord had shown concern for his people, reversing the lack of bread by providing abundant crops. Yes, hashtag perspective, exactly. So, yeah, if we look at this from Pleasant's perspective, the region of Moab in the country of Moab, since this is a repetition of the phrase found earlier in the verse, it's been shortened to just be Moab for stylistically. I don't know what I missed here. Sorry, I passed out again. You mean you fell asleep again? No worries, Sam. We have not got far. We've had great discussions, but we've not gotten far in the book. So I did want to go look up Moab and what Moab means. I forget what Moab means, but I want to. There we go. Moab, in contrast to Bethlehem, which means house of bread. So if we're going to Moab.
Strong's H 4124.
Moab.
Moab.
Of his father. Oh, so what we have here is a contrast, okay, of my God is king going to the land of his father, and in the land of his father, my God is king dies, who is the father of sickly and frail die in the land of his father. Oh, you had a mild seizure, so definitely not. I'm so sorry. Are you okay, Sam? Strong's is low? Okay. Thank you on that. I had it turned down because, oh, you know what? I have found a setting on my audio. I can turn my microphone up past 100%. I found a setting, so I turned up my microphone to 125%. So now in relationship to those two, it's probably lower. So thank you for letting me know that. You're all right, Samarella? Let us know you. Yeah, you'll be okay. This is usual for me. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. It was usual, and you're okay. Good. And you don't have to share it here, but I know that you were going to be having some testing done in relationship to some health concerns. I don't know if you have answers for that yet or not. If you do, I'd love to know where that stands. Okay. Okay, so she doesn't make a decision to leave the circumstance and situation she's in until she hears news that God has shown favor on his people by now providing crops. So the reason they left is God was not showing favor to the people during the time of Judges. So what we could hypothesize is that, like the cycle in Judges, there are periods of time when the people are not following God and things get desperate and people cry out, and a judge had been raised up, and now things have returned to a good period of time when harvests are plentiful. So now they're going to return back to the land. And it says she is accompanied by her two daughter-in-laws. You don't want to talk about it now, please. Oh, no worries. You could also DM me too. I just want to be updated. So as I pray for you, Sam, that I'm praying in light of where things are at. So I also yesterday I recorded a VOD on my phone and was trying to get it uploaded to Canva so I could downsize the quality of it so that I could post in Discord, because Discord doesn't like big volume, and even if I do a minute, they're too big to post there. So I downsize it by using Canva to shrink the file size and then post it. But I was going to give an update on where I am. So many of you know I had an interview with a church in regards to working there, and I heard back from them this week that they are still taking their time and making a decision, and it might be a couple more weeks before they make a decision. So I don't anticipate hearing about that until February. And those that were praying for me, I had shared, I think, already, and if I missed a place where you saw it, I'm sorry, that the interview went great. I felt I represented myself well. I felt confident with what they would want me to do, and being able to go there, that if they offer me the position, I will say yes. So it should not impact streaming in the mornings. It may impact all the other things that in places I'm streaming. That's why I haven't started on any of those other things in a set schedule yet. So it's still Eastern time zone, though it's 12 hours away. So my time should all be the same. At most, maybe it would impact a day or two or not allow me to do any longer, later streams, which I sometimes do. Okay. Oh, also, by the way, if you can pray for this, and I'll put this in Discord, I work with John 17:23 network, helping set up pastoral networks. And by pastoral, it only means you're doing ministry, caring for people, serving as in the role of shepherd, caregiver, caretaker over a group of people. So it doesn't mean you're ordained in some way. It doesn't mean you have to be recognized as a pastor. You're just serving a group of people in that way. So one of the guys who is down the road, who he's actually down the road from me literally, a half hour away, which I've never met in person, but I've been on a lot of Zoom calls with him as we're meeting with a lot of the people are out east. His wife passed away this week, and the funeral is next week. So I may have some disruptions in my schedule next week. A mutual friend of ours in the organization is coming from Massachusetts. He's going to be staying at my house, so I'll pick him up from the airport, and visitation is Wednesday night, funeral is Thursday, and I'll be taking him to the airport on Friday. So I might have disruptions to my stream from that going on next week, but I'll keep you updated as things get closer. So if you can pray for Doug, my friend Doug, whose wife passed away. So, okay. Now, as she and her two daughter-in-laws began to leave the place where she was living to return to the land of Judah, you know what I'm going to do? Naomi and her two daughter-in-laws said, listen to me. Okay, I want to go back look up Orpah here, because I know that that's what they were saying they have turned back on, but that's not the usual one that I'm used to hearing. So let's go look up what Strong says on Orpah. I know Ruth is friendship. That's not going to be different. I thought there was a different meaning. Orpah. Yeah, I thought it was
Strong's
gazelle.
H 6204. Orpah.
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 So this is one of those, like, we would have to go. So this is saying it is from Oreph, which is neck, back of the neck, of fleeing foe, of apostate, of stiff-necked, of obstinate. Okay. I'm going to have to decide what I'm doing with the... So, Oreph of the neck, back of the neck, stiff-necked, obstinate. Let's go see. Where is that first used? Shall be the back, it shall be in the neck of thine enemies, turned their backs on thee, is a stiff-necked people. That's what I wanted to say. Is she a stiff-necked person? That might be what I would translate this, because I'm working on a story that I'm retelling the book of Ruth without telling the book of Ruth, and so I'm doing it with the name meanings in there is what I'm doing. So Araph is break the neck of an animal. So, like, these are all related. So I love doing the to drop, to drip, to drop, to tick, to trickle. So, okay, that's interesting. All right, that was a rabbit trail. Okay, sorry, because I've usually called her gazelle, and here they're saying back of the neck, turn the back on. I like stiff-necked better. I like a little bit stiff-necked better. I think that fits with the motif more. But I'll have to make a decision on that. I think I was calling her gazelle or fawn. I might have been the way I was translating it, but I might have to change that. Okay. Back to our story at hand. Naomi said to her two daughter-in-laws, listen to me. Each of you should return to your mother's home. Yep, going back to Kirk there, because I thought it would be fun. Okay. Mother's home. Naomi's words imply that it is more appropriate for two widows to go home to their mother rather than stay with their mother-in-law. It's also interesting. She doesn't say father's home. She says mother's home, which is super fascinating to me, that you wouldn't return to your father's household. You're returning to your mother's. It is, I think the implication here is care and compassion that you're going to get, not protection. Okay, so I no longer feel I can provide care and compassion for you. So go to your mother's home. And we're going to get why here in a minute, but she's going to call herself bitter when we get to it. She's going to call herself Mara. So I can no longer provide the care, the comfort in your grieving because I'm too grieved myself. I can't give this to you. So go to your mother's home. Did I win the battle royale? Okay. You call for it, you make it happen, and then you tell me I rigged it, and I'm paying no attention whatsoever. I wonder, like, if you go to other people's streams and do that, I wonder how often. I would love to see the stats on how often the host wins. That would be a fun stat. Okay. Yeah, it's fun, though. I'm all good with it. May the Lord show you the same kind of devotion that you have shown to your deceased husbands and to me. Okay, what do we have here? To the dead, your husbands. This is about... Whoa, what? Uncle Daddy with the 100 rigged biddies. That's funny. Thank you for the biddies, friend. Oh, how many is it? 5,700 biddies. Oh, love you, man. Thank you so much for the love. So you've shown kindness to the deceased, the dead, and your dead husbands, and to me. I think this would also be the dead father-in-law, too. Unless the father-in-law was dead, like I proposed before they married, so they may not have known him. May the Lord enable each of you to find security in the home of a new husband. Okay. What do we have here on the word? Rest. Okay. Rest often refers to security. Yes, that's true. When they have rest from all their enemies, it does have the implication of security. Okay. I can see that. But so this would be the other aspect of it. Go to your mother's home for care and compassion as you're grieving, and then get a new husband. Then she kissed them goodbye. They wept loudly, but they said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." I love that they weep loudly. I mean, this to me is a group hug. They lifted their voices and wept. Oh. Actually, I like that sound better. Instead of wept loudly. They lifted their voices like, we ain't holding back. The tears, they are a-flowing. And we ain't leaving. We need you. But Naomi replied, "Go back home, my daughters. There is no reason for you to return to Judah with me. I am no longer capable of giving birth to sons who might become your husbands." Okay, what are they telling us there? Is that literally what it says? Do I still have sons in my inner parts that they might become your husbands? Okay. I can see that being interpreted no longer capable of giving birth. That maybe menopause has already happened, and she's like, I don't have capacity. That might be what we're hearing here. Go back home, my daughters, for I am too old to get married again. So my body's not capable, and nobody wants me. Even if, even if I thought there was hope that I could get married tonight and conceive sons, surely you would not want to wait until they were old enough to marry. So I don't have the capacity to have sons. I have no prospects of marriage. If both of those things were reversed in this very instant and I got pregnant tonight, how long you think you're going to wait for those men to grow up to be your husband? I mean, really? Really? No. No, I got nothing for you. I'm empty. The tank is empty. The womb has been vacated. The boys have left the premises. I don't know. I'm just going on with all these references for some reason. It sounds fun. Okay. Go back home, daughters, for I am too old to get married again. Okay, I did that part. Conceive sons tonight. Surely you would not want to wait. Surely you would not remain unmarried all that time. Like you waiting. I mean, men are usually, I think, married in their 20s. So you want to wait 20 years? No, my daughters, you must not return with me, for my intense suffering is too much for you to bear, for the Lord has afflicted me. So you don't want to come with me. Look, I'm a curse on all the men around me. So even if we go in the direction of, yeah, you're inclined to come with me, you're going to wait for me to get married, you're going to wait for me to have a son, like, I must be contagious and cursed by God with suffering, and eventually it's going to hit the two of you. Because I lost my husband, I lost my sons, you're next, is essentially what she's saying. Again, they wept loudly. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung tightly to her. So, then stiff-necked kissed her mother-in-law. I'm just testing out how this sounds. Then stiff-necked kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but friendship clung tightly to her. They all wept loudly. Then Gazelle kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but friendship clung to her. That's what I think I was going with. And they were saying turns back on. Then they all wept loudly. Then turns her back, kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and friendship clung tightly to Ruth. I just love saying friendship clung tightly. Clung tightly to her, not to Ruth. So Pleasant said, "Look, your sister-in-law is returning to her people and to her God. Follow your sister-in-law back home." Okay, so notice, so the people she's returning to the people. She already pleaded, go back to your mother's household, get a husband among your people that you can be. Now she's throwing a third thing. Hey, go back to your gods. My God is punishing me. She said that. Now go back to your gods. The go back, he might bless you because my God has been forsaking me. That's her perspective. Again, the book of Ruth is told from Pleasant, Naomi's perspective. Okay. But Ruth replied to her. Okay, so we'll read through part of this, and part of this is commonly used by people of marriage, covenant, or phrases like I've had ring that when I was looking for a ring in Hebrew, that this was on there that people would use as a wedding ring that had Hebrew from this passage on there, and I'm like, this is about Ruth to her mother-in-law. This is not about Ruth to Boaz. Okay? So, I don't think that's, a phrase, the sentiment is good, but I wouldn't want it as wedding sentiment. I don't think this is wedding sentiment. Okay. Stop urging me to abandon you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I do not keep my promise. Only death will be able to separate me from you. So people will often use this part here, as marriage. The sentiment is, Chovy, my buddy, welcome in. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Great sentiment, but do you know where the context is? The only time I like presiding over weddings, I would want to use this in a wedding would be if there were two people from two different countries. Then I would feel this is appropriate on some level. If it's two people from two different countries marrying each other, I could see an appropriateness to it. If all it is you are trying to express a sentiment of, hey, we love each other deeply, we want to use Ruth, it's not the same sentiment. That line was in the color purple when Cecile was forced forcefully separated from her sister. Yeah, that makes sense. But I always say, people want to use this in a marriage, and I don't feel like it's a good, I mean, I get the sentiment, but the context, that's not the right context. Okay, when when Pleasant realized friendship was determined to go with her, she stopped trying to dissuade her. So the two of them journeyed together until they arrived at the house of bread. When they entered the house of bread, the whole village was excited about their arrival. The women of the village said, "Can this be Pleasant?" But she replied to them, "Don't call me pleasant, call me bitter." That's what Mara means. "Because the sovereign one has treated me harshly. I left full, but the Lord has caused me to return empty-handed." Friendship here means nothing to me, by the way. No, the value of society, that a widow that is with her has no value for Naomi. Okay, so it's not a discounting of friendship, Ruth. It is a societal standard that she has nothing. She had a husband and 2 sons. There was the value of her life. There was the value in society that she had. She now comes empty because her sons and her husband are gone. A widowed daughter-in-law is of no value in society. That's why she's empty-handed. It's not a diss on Ruth. "Why do you call me Naomi? Why do you call me pleasant, seeing that the Lord has opposed me and the sovereign one has caused me to suffer?" So Pleasant returned, accompanied by her Moabite daughter-in-law, Friendship, who came back with her from the region of my father. Now they arrived in the house of bread at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now, if you grew up in the land and you knew something about this, this would have some meaning to you. The only part it means to me is there's a harvest time. That's all I can understand. I don't know when that happens. I don't know, if there's something specific about barley as opposed to wheat or soybeans or corn, the way you do it and how you do it. I have no clue. Okay. Here, the barley harvest began in late March. Thank you for the footnote. The statement introduces the disjunctive structure, provided closure from the previous scene, while at the same time making a transition to the next scene, which takes place in a barley field. The reference to the harvest also reminds the reader that God has been merciful to his people by replacing the famine with fertility. Ooh. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so Ruth has now come with an empty womb. So she had a full womb, so to speak, because she had 2 sons when she left. So there was a famine in the land, so she went to a foreign land because there was food over there. There was fertility in the land over there, but she comes back from the land where the land was fertile, to the land that now has become fertile, but as she's come back, she's now infertile. Do you see the play on that? I hadn't seen that before. The play of fertility of the land versus fertility of Naomi. So she has fertility in the land that didn't have fertility, goes to the land that had fertility and lost the fertility that she had, and then returns to the land that was infertile and as an infertile person, with a person capable of fertility. I never saw that before. That's kind of cool. Okay. Now, Pleasant had a relative on her husband's side of the family named Boaz. I do not remember what that means. We'll look it up in a second. Actually, let's look it up before I continue, because I like looking up the names and having them in the story. Okay, we also are looking up Elimelech. It sounds like Similac to me. If you ever bought Similac baby formula, Elimelech.
Strong's H 458. Elimelech.
Oh, that's right.
Elimelech.
My God is king. We looked up his name. Sorry, I was thinking it was a different name. Boaz. Fleetness.
Strong's H 1162.
Fleetness.
Boaz.
So Fleetness. Okay. Of the family named Fleetness. He was a wealthy, prominent man of the clan of my goddess king. One day, Friendship, the Moabite, said to Pleasant, "Let me go to the fields so I can gather grain behind whoever permits me to do so." Pleasant said, "You may go, my daughter." Like, I don't think there was a lot of effort. Yeah, go whatever you want. So Friendship went and gathered grain in the field behind the harvesters. Now, she just happened to end up in the portion of the field belonging to Fleetness, who was from the clan of my God is king. Oh, it just so happened. It was coincidental. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Forever will think baby formula. Yes. Now, at that very moment, Fleetness arrived from the house of bread and greeted the harvester. So Fleetness, he just shows up. He's fleet. He just shows up. "May the Lord be with you," they replied. "May the Lord bless you." Fleetness asked his servants in charge of the harvesters, "To whom does this young woman belong?" The servant in charge of the harvesters replied, "She's the young Moabite woman who came back with Pleasant from the land of the region of Moab." She asked, "May I follow the harvesters and gather grain amongst the bundles?" Since she arrived, she has been working hard from morning until now, except for sitting in the rest hut a short time. So Fleetness said to Friendship, "Listen carefully, my dear. Do not leave to go gather in another field. You need not go beyond the limits of this field. You may go along beside my female workers. Take note of the field where the men are harvesting and follow behind with the female workers. I will tell the men to leave you alone. When you are thirsty, you may go to the water jars and drink some of the water the servants draw." Okay, why is he telling the men of the harvest to leave, or to the men to leave her alone? Let me see if there's any footnotes of it. They will leave the masculine, so they translate it as men. Male servants are in view here, masculine plural, so they're telling us why they're translating as men. Okay, they will leave you alone. Okay, so they're translating the idiom here. Have I not commanded the servants not to touch you, not to harm you? It's an idiom. It's in the perfect instance. Okay. So, one reason that he may say this is, you know what? It's the time of the judges, so there's danger. There could be that. Two, she's a foreigner. So what standards they might have for the rest of the female workers, they may not hold the same for a foreigner. They may treat her with disdain. They may treat her with malice. They may harass her in some way. And it's like, ain't none of that happening here. Okay. Friendship knelt before him with her forehead to the ground. So she prostrate all the way down, not just a simple bow, all the way to the ground, and said to him, "Why are you so kind and so attentive to me, even though I'm a foreigner?" So she recognizes, like, hey, this is not the standard treatment if I come into a foreign land, that you should treat a foreigner this way. Although, I would argue, this is exactly how they're supposed to treat foreigners. You're supposed to be a shocking change from the countries around you. This is exactly how you're supposed to treat foreigners. Fleetness replied to her, I have been given a full report of all that you have done for your mother-in-law following the death of your husband, how you left your father and your mother as well as your homeland and came to live among the people you did not know previously. May the Lord reward your efforts. May your acts of kindness be repaid fully by the Lord God of Israel, from whom you sought protection. Okay. So his reply isn't simply, it's the way I treat everybody. It's the way God tells us to treat. No, he tells her, I know all about you. I know all about you. I'm impressed by you. And that's some level of what he's saying here. Okay, she said, you really are being kind to me, sir, for you have reassured and encouraged me, your servant, even though I will never be like one of your servants. Ooh, what's the never be like? Yeah, I'll never be equivalent to. Yeah. Later, during the mealtime, Fleetness said to her, come here and have some food. Dip your bread in the vinegar. So she sat down beside the harvesters. Then he handed her some roasted grain. She ate until she was full and saved the rest. When she got up to gather grain, Boaz told his male servants, let her gather grain even among the bundles. Don't chase her off. Make sure you pull out ears of grain for her and drop them so she can gather them up. Don't tell her not to. So she gathered grain in the field until evening. When she threshed what she had gathered, it came to about 30 pounds of barley. Okay, what is the equivalent? This is a huge amount of barley. When one woman to gather in a single day, it testifies both to Ruth's industrious, and Boaz's generosity. There was an ephah. Okay, single ephah. So a whole ephah. An ephah was a dry measurement equivalent to a tenth of a homer, blah, 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 blah. We get all that. So, okay. So a tenth, or she got an ephah of barley. She got 30 pounds. She was working hard. Okay, if you got 30 pounds of barley flour, how much did you actually have to harvest? And then thresh, and then grind into flour? Like, she goes from harvest to flour. She's working hard all day. She carried it back to town, and her mother-in-law saw how much grain she had gathered. Then Ruth gave her the roasted grain she had saved from mealtime. Her mother-in-law asked her, where did you gather grain today? Where did you work? May the one who took notice of you be rewarded. Like, she knows this wasn't a normal, you gathered in a field and you got the scraps. Okay? So Ruth told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked. She said, the name of the man with whom I worked today was Fleetness. Pleasant said to her daughter-in-law, may he be rewarded by God because he has shown loyalty to the living on behalf of the dead. So she's interpreting this because he knows who you are and that you are of the family and he's honoring your husband. Then Pleasant said to her, this man is a close relative of ours. He is our guardian. This would be kinsman redeemer. Translated redeemer, yes. One of our guardian redeemers, family redeemers. I like redeem better than guardian, protector. Because in a sense, I think it's more severe because Ruth has the possibility of falling outside of the family by having no heirs. Her husband falls out of the family, and by having a new husband who will have a son attributed to her dead husband, you redeem the name and the family line of the dead. Guardian doesn't cover that. Guardian doesn't cover that. Oh, what'd you clip? What'd you clip? Ruth the Moabitess replied, he even told me, You may go along beside the servants until you have finished gathering all my harvest. Naomi then said to her daughter-in-law Ruth, it is good, my daughter, that you should go out to work with his female servants. That way you will not be harmed, which could happen in another field. Okay, again, we have the potential for harm. Bothered in another field. Again, it could be because of gender taken advantage of. It also could be mistreatment because she's a foreigner. So Ruth worked beside Boaz's female servants, gathering grain until the end of the barley harvest, as well as the wheat harvest. So we've jumped from barley to wheat, and she stayed home with her mother, and after that, she stayed home with her mother-in-law. Okay. The barley harvest from late March through late April. Wheat harvest is from April to late May. Okay, March to April, April to May. So she's constantly working in the harvest field. She's staying with her mother-in-law all that time. Okay. I'm just looking. Yeah, let's end there for today. I don't want to jump into the next part, but we can go back here and talk just a little bit. So, I love this whole setup of the whole thing of call BRB. Okay, of the name meanings here. This is one of my favorite stories. The places have name meanings. The people have name meanings. Not every single one of them. Okay. But people that have different characters that they play in the story have meaning to the name. Now, here's one of those things. Which came first? Okay? Does Ruth already... Scam call? Yeah, I hate those. Does Ruth already mean friendship? Or does Ruth, the person, create the meaning of the name? Because likely... Ruth is a Moabite name. And so if you watch and you study the actions of Ruth in the story, that she demonstrates friendship throughout the whole thing to Naomi. She just demonstrates loyalty, that you become to associate the word with that meaning. That could make some sense. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's a possibility in some of these cases that you take on the name of the person. So this would happen in wrestling, that there would be a person that would do a move so often that or they invented a move, could be that you begin calling it that by that name. So a half Nelson, I don't know if he invented it or if it was named after him because he used it so often. So you have a Nelson, so it was named after Nelson. Makes sense. Also, we had a move called the Zuv. It was named after Zuverink, who did the move all the time. Then a kid named Jacobs did it all the time. I'm inclined to call it the Jacobs now. I mean, Zuv sounds better, but, we could call it the Jacobs if we wanted. We also did chicken wings all the time at the school where I was coaching. And their mascot was the chicken. So, it was already called Chicken Wing. Actually, it just started to be called, the town was Zealand. So it was the Zealand Chicks. And it was a chicken wing. So it just became called the Zealand Wing. We had a certain style and a manner that we did it that was not the way other people did it. And it became called that. Chicken wings. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is name meanings can come from a person, or a person can be bestowed with a name because they become that. So, it can go both ways. That's all I was kind of implying there. So I love that. I love the name play on the House of Bread and the no bread in the House of Bread. That's just so cool. The picture of Naomi going out and her sons being called sickly and frail, like their names are foreshadowing. Their names are foreshadowing. Oh, they're sickly and frail, don't have enough food. Let's go to a place where they do have enough food, but still sickly and frail die without children. Oh my goodness, surprise, 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 surprise to no one. So, all right. I think that's a good stopping point, so we will go Ruth 1 through 2. Boy, we started out with pretty slow going, a little out of side conversations, but we made it through 2 chapters. So let's go find someone to raid. I will be back tomorrow, friends. I will be back tomorrow. Let me just show you that again, if you were not here. Oh, wrong one. Is it not up? Let me open. There we go. That's not it. Why are you not showing me? Okay, let me try again. There it is. For some reason, it doesn't want to show me there. Okay. So I'll be doing a collab stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. I also will be preaching Sunday in VR church. So, can't remember. I think it is in Rec Room at 3 p.m. EST and 5 p.m. in VR chat. And I'll be preaching on gossip. Da 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 dun 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 dum ba da ba 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 bum. I don't know why I have that song. It gets stuck in my head like all the time, and I cannot get the song out. It will be there for at least an hour, and I will have to sing what I hear. Ba ba da da. Okay. Da 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 da. That's interesting. Gruesome Tom is framing window insulation, doing some drilling in YOLO. That sounds fun, but I don't know that it's got like 40 viewers. That's awesome. I don't know that a lot of people would want to. Yeah, I'm just looking through who we got options. Sometimes I just get a feeling. I go, I want to go there, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want. I don't know. But let's go over here. I think this will be good. All right, so we're going to over to raid Prof. Reggie, and let me send you off with a blessing. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you all for being here, for hanging out in the stream, for just good conversation, good fellowship, and I hope that you are blessed. You have a chance to see me the next 2 days, perhaps. I don't know if it'll be streamed on Twitch for VR Church, but But I will be back tomorrow evening, as it were. So that's different. All right, let's roll those pitiful credits. They're not so good, but they're something.
Flat cap on his head, he's streaming live. Reading from the book, the words so alive. A prayer in his heart that lifts the soul. In the digital world where spirits roll. Hallelujah, from the screen we scream. Join the pastor in the holy dream, spreading love